Welcome back to the PFF NFL show, doing a little Combine preview this episode. Next week is the NFL Combine, starting on Tuesday, going throughout the week. Steve and I will be there at some point, breaking down all the potential NFL prospects. So let's get right into, though. Steve has a article up on PFF, ProFootballFocus.com right now, breaking down the 10 guys who have the most to prove, or who got the 10 players to watch, basically. Could go up or down. Draft stock,
varying reasons.
Yeah, draft stock matters. They could affect their draft stock the most with their performance next week. So break them down for us, Steve. I could read just the list. I know you guys like me reading lists, but I think it would be better having Steve break
I thought you were
going to
set the tone and read it out for us.
Okay, I could just break it down. Yeah, 10 guys. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the Alabama cornerback.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup, Colorado State wide receiver. Nick Chubb. Bradley Chubb. Excuse me. Bradley Chubb, NC State defensive end. Tremaine Edmonds, Virginia Tech linebacker. Saquon Barkley, Penn State running back. Dallas Gaitert, South Dakota State tight end. Leighton, Vander, Esch, the Boise State linebacker. Denzel Ward, the Ohio State corner. Marcus Davenport, the UTSA edge. And Arden Key, the LSU edge. So, Steve, break them down.
Well, let's start with Minkah, because I think, the key for him, he's getting some top 5 hype. He's getting comparisons to Jalen Ramsey, and there are some similarities to Jalen Ramsey in the way that they were used in college. Ramsey was a free safety, and then he was a slot, and then he became an outside corner. That's the one difference with Minkah. Minkah just played the slot the entire time. That's what Ramsey did his sophomore year, and he looks like a really good slot at the next level, that guy that can play the run and cover slot receivers, and he's a little bit bigger if you want him to cover tight ends or bigger slot receivers. The question for him, does he have the same type of freakish length and athleticism that Ramsey has, and can he play on the outside? So that's my big question for Fitzpatrick, and I think his workout's going to determine if he's truly a top 5 guy or a middle of the first round guy where we have him slotted at the moment.
Long speed. If you'll remember, if you go back to last year, we broke down what long speed meant to you for, and it's a position. Cornerback is a position where long speed does actually matter. I think running fast on the edge, a lot of guys who run in the high 4.5s, 4.6s at cornerback are pegged as slot onlys, or not guys you want on the outside. So if he does run in that range, he could be stuck as what he played in college, a slot only there at Alabama. He could be that in the pros as well. If he runs in the 4.4s, all of a sudden, hey, maybe he's can play up on the outside. Yeah. Maybe he is the number 1 corner for us. Very good
football player regardless, but yeah, I think that'll go a long way to determining his stock. Listed Michael Gallup from Colorado State, the wide receiver, really high on him, and I just want to see. I think I saw speed on tape. I think I saw a guy that has good long strides that get on cornerbacks quickly, and he's a smooth runner. He's really good after the catch, but is he in the 4.4s? Is he in the 4.5s? I think that's going to be big for him as well. And if he puts up a good number there, I think he's a guy that moves up. I really don't know what the league thinks about him, because I feel like the wide receiver lists that you see are all over the place. Some don't even have him as a top 5 guy. For us, he's right up there at the top.
You just don't see a lot of. Also, he's 6'1", 200 pounds. Wide receivers that size, you just don't see a lot of guys drafted in the first round if you're not running in the 4.4s.
Right.
And if you're not jumping, around 40 inches, you just aren't. You're not going to be in that conversation, because as much as there has been success with guys like Antonio Brown, who haven't been necessarily the best athletes coming out of college, it's just rare. And teams won't, teams value athleticism at that position. So
we mentioned Bradley Chubb from NC State. We talked about him a ton on here. Want to know what his lower body explosiveness looks like, his change of direction.
I want to know the 3-cone.
The 3-cone especially.
Because that, to me, for edge rushers, is the most important drill. Everyone talked about Joey Bosa's, he had a poor combine coming out, but he had a 6'8", 9 3-cone at 270 pounds, which is freaky. Like that, if you're a sub-7 3-cone at that size, that is impressive. And so I want to see if he is in the 7 range. If he can get in the 7 range, I'll be happy with that, but I just don't think he will be off of what I saw on tape. So
in that for him, that's are you the top 10 edge defender, or are you just a first round edge defender? Tremaine Edmonds, the oversized linebacker. I mean, he's 6'5", 250, not even 20 years old yet, so the kid still might be growing. And if he puts up a freakish combine, I mean, that's gonna put his buzz through the roof.
Yeah.
Sam brought it up. when he was evaluating him for the draft guide too, like, where do you put this guy? Do you keep him as a traditional 6'5", 250-pound linebacker? And I don't know that there's another position you could just, slot him in as. I mean, he's got the frame of an edge defender, but you don't just make linebackers edge defenders. That's a completely different skill set. But does he become kind of like I'm describing Derwin James? Is he more of a movable chess piece that's like, hey, man, you have Gronk size and athleticism maybe coming out of this thing. You can shut down tight ends at the next level, and you can get great depth in zone and be a coverage force. And we might see that with his movement skills at the combine. He'll be an intriguing name.
I want to just see his athleticism testing numbers. I obviously want to see them, but I just want to see how long his arms are.
You want to see that arm length?
Oh my gosh, he looks like Predator on tape with how long those arms are.
He's got the tackle radius, my friend. He's got the hashtag tackle radius.
He's got radius. He's got body radius.
Body radius. Saquon Barkley, I mentioned him just because I mentioned in the article too, if we could watch him squat, that's what I would tune in for.
Yeah, it's power cleans. So.
Squat or perform Olympic lifts is what I wrote.
Yeah.
But I'll be satisfied watching some straight line speed and some lateral agility and all that. Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State. We did get the official pronunciation, by the way. It is Goddard.
Oh,
I don't like it. So I know you're a big name guy, and I feel like that drops him around. I wanted to see Goddard.
God, though. You got the God in there.
Maybe that helps. Maybe that helps. He's God. He's God at the tight end position. 260 pounds, and we...
Give some stats on him, yeah.
Well, yeah, we grade every FBS game and then a select few FCS teams, and we decided on South Dakota State this year because of Goddard and a couple other prospects on their team, and the stats are stupid. He has 573 yards after the catch. That's almost 100 more than any other tight end. 8.1 yards after the catch per reception at 260 pounds. And he's the type of guy that also makes those freakish one-handed catches and all that stuff. So we're talking, contested catches, spectacular catches, after the catch ability at 260 pounds. I want to see if this was just him dominating the FCS level, or if all the numbers really match up with that, because he has the potential to be special.
How did he end up at South Dakota State? That always amazes me when it's like small school.
I assume
freak
just
athlete.
A late bloomer,
yeah,
maybe. But he's had 4 pretty. Even as a freshman, we have games graded where he went out against FBS competition and played really well. So he's got every time he played FBS.
I guess when you play high school football in South Dakota, you're not really getting
the radar.
Much national buzz.
It's all about that radar. Arden Key we mentioned just because he really didn't do much on the field last year. His combine's going to be as much about the interviews and explaining the off-field stuff. Mm-hmm. Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker from Boise State, there's a lot of buzz that he is going to have a really good combine, and he looks really quick on the field. I'm curious to know what his straight line speed is, even though it's not a game breaker, but he might come out of this as a guy he's a really good run defender, and if he moves well enough, you're like, all right, I can make do with him in coverage. He was solid there last year, really had a breakout 2017. And then Denzel Ward, the cornerback from Ohio State, one of the guys I'm most excited to see because he's one of the fastest straight line players on Ohio State, and that's great. Usually guys that are fast, they're not always quick. We talked about this the other day. He has quickness as well, so he can cover the slot, but he also has that makeup speed, the long speed, on tape, where if he does lose a step or two down the field, he catches up in a hurry, and he needs that because he's got some bigger receivers he's going up against, and he's not the biggest guy. But when you have straight line speed and quickness, that is a huge, unbelievable combination. I want to see all of those numbers for him.
I also do believe in vertical jump at the cornerback position, especially for undersized guys. You look at someone like Brent Grimes, who can basically make up a height difference because he can jump out of the gym. If he posts, Denzel Ward a 40-inch vertical, all of a sudden that turns a 5'10" guy into corners that are 6 foot. They're comparable then at that point that can't jump as high. So I do think if Denzel Ward, if he is going to be, first corner off the board, he probably needs to have himself a good workout.
Yeah, he definitely does. Yeah, for a guy that isn't, the 6'1", 6'2" that the NFL's looking for. And then Marcus Davenport, he was listed at 6'7" at UTSA. Looks like he's 6'7", but he's more in that 6'5", 6'5.5" range. Is that right? Coming out of the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Is he just this big long guy, or does he move extremely well? And I think that'll be one of the storylines.
I do think. Well, I had a bunch of edge names down because I think edge, defensive interior are the two positions where combine testing probably has the biggest impact on your draft stock.
Right.
Like if you are not an elite athlete, or not a plus athlete for the position, you have to do a lot of other things well to make up for it. We were talking about the other day about Adolphus Washington, about how I came out of the combine being like, he's just so far on the end of the spectrum, on the bad end of the spectrum, that I worry about that translating to the next level. Very productive college player at OSU. Was high on our board even after the combine, but I had reservations about when he had a 3-cone around 8 seconds, and you just don't have the explosive numbers. It just translates to the NFL, because everyone you're going up against in the NFL on the offensive line is going to be stronger, more explosive, faster, better with their technique. You have to separate yourself in some way, and so the edge guys, the defensive line, is where athleticism truly matters, and it is put well on display at the combine. So the guys I listed, I had obviously Key and Davenport as well, and we have talked about this before, but Harold Landry, obviously because of the injury, just showing what kind of, one, showing he's healthy, two, showing what kind of athlete he is when healthy. I thought he was, elite level athlete in terms of what he can put up in the 3-cone, how he explodes off the line of scrimmage. So if he truly shows that, I think he could be, start moving up. His draft stock could rise, the theoretical draft stock could rise.
Right.
A couple other guys on the edge, Hercules Mataafa, big reason for him is because he never got to play in space at Washington State. He never got to show any sort of athleticism other than his first step off the line of scrimmage.
What was his main role? Explain what he pretty much did. And it's an odd scheme, and you're going up against a lot of spread offense.
So he was a defensive tackle in this Washington State's defensive system that was basically they treated their defensive line as if it was like just a havoc create. Like they would shift. They would try to time their shift right before the snap to mess up the offensive line calls. So they'd try to time it right before the snap, and then they would slant at every snap. They would slant one way or the other every single play. So it didn't really matter that Hercules was only 250 pounds. He was just filling a gap as quickly as possible.
Just firing gaps left and right.
Yeah, firing gaps. And so that is difficult to evaluate because no one does that in the NFL. And he's not going to do that in the NFL. He's going to play on the edge at that size. You're not even going to think about having him go up against a double team on the interior. So, like I said, he didn't play in space. He didn't go up against offensive tackles, and he really didn't have to show much in terms of his athleticism outside of that first step and his lateral agility. So it'll be big to see what he can do from a 3-cone perspective, from it's just a straight line speed perspective, and who he's going to be at the next level, because he graded extremely well for us in that role, but it's a weird role. So.
It is, yeah. It's tough to evaluate. So I want to see where he. A lot of times it's just shoot the gap. You're not even using your hands a whole lot, and there's definitely a little bit of projection to his game.
And then the last guy was on the edge that I'm looking at is Kamoko Toure, the Rutgers defensive end, outside linebacker, who graded extremely well freshman and sophomore year as a pass rusher. But back then he was like 220 pounds. He was like 6'5", 220. He looked like a wide receiver and was just killing offensive tackles because he was faster. He was like a wide receiver. All he needed to do was get one step on these college offensive tackles, and he was by them. He was that quick. Put on some weight the past few years so he could play in a full-time role. Finally did this past year and played over 500 snaps for the first time in his career, and wasn't quite as explosive. Obviously, you're going to take a step back when you're putting on 30 pounds to your frame, but didn't have quite the same explosion. Was still kind of productive, but not nearly as productive as before. So, can he show that he still has that explosion, or that it's in him? Can he show that he can still have the bend that is basically why people are giving him first, second round hype, is because he can bend at 6'5", has the sort of flexibility and coordination to get it done.
Is he a Gumby guy?
A little bit of a Gumby, but will it? If he really is that, it should show up at the combine. You should test well in the 3-cone. You should be explosive in the 10 splits and the jumps and that sort of thing. So it'll be big for him because he just doesn't have that much tape to go off of also.
Turay is definitely a fascinating name. He did have a pretty good Senior Bowl practice and game. So because we have 4 years of data now, he was one of those guys who had an excellent 2014 season, our first year, and he only played 330 snaps, and you're looking at the production on 330 snaps. Not all of them were pass rushes, but 8 sacks, 7 QB hits, 24 hurries. That's still his most productive pass rushing season. And usually when we see guys that have that type of production on a low number of snaps, those are our breakout players. And a lot of times those guys have hit through the years. Like Shaq Lawson was a guy. And you just get these guys that have these small sample size of uber production, and then they get better and better. And Turay just didn't necessarily get better, but he had a good solid 2017, and I still think he's got something in him. And if he does blow it up at the combine in a class that doesn't have too many of these classic-looking, explosive, bendy edge rushers, he could definitely jump a few guys that are maybe have more production under their belts, but maybe don't have that same classic look.
Yeah, and some guys I mentioned on the interior that I'll be looking for. We've talked about Taven Bryan before, the Florida defensive tackle. I think he can even be a defensive end at the next level, and he looks on tape like an explosive athlete. And it's like when you see it on tape, you want the combine to back that up. So jumps 40 for him. If he is that sort of guy, he'll start getting first-round sort of buzz. Tim Settle, the Virginia Tech nose tackle, another guy who is very athletic for his size, but what sort of athleticism is that? Is it, Dontari Poe level athleticism for the nose tackle position, or is it just good athleticism? If you're that Dontari Poe level sort of athlete that is, extremely freaky, all of a sudden you're in the first round conversation. If you're just a plus athlete, then you're not quite there. His tape isn't good enough to push him into that conversation. So
he reminds me a little bit of Willie Henry from a couple years ago with Michigan,
that's a good call.
About a fourth-round pick. I think it was a fourth-round pick with Baltimore. And when you watch Willie Henry, you're like, all right, he's got good size, he's got some burst, he's got some physical tools, but you don't know if he's great at straight just playing the game now. And I feel like Settle's got a lot of that. He's balance ratio's a little bit off. He ends up on the ground.
It's more than a little bit off. He has got his balance ratio is on the low end.
It's on the low end.
Lineman, we'll say.
It's on the low end, but he's only a redshirt sophomore, and his pure just disruption as a redshirt freshman and as a sophomore, really, really good. So he feels like the type of guy that third or fourth round I want to bring in and teach him to play a little bit. Teach him to play some football, but he's got some physical tools that I don't that should show up the combine that I don't think some other guys have.
And the last one is actually there's two more. One's Will Geary. I just want to see how tall he is, because I swear the Kansas State defense tackle might be 5'10". You look at him in his stance on tape, and offensive guards block him completely. You can't see him on some plays if the end zone cam is low enough.
I love it,
because he just is that small. He's 5'10", maybe 300 pounds, but was one of our highest graded defensive tackles in the country. He got the job done a lot, but it's hilarious to watch. He's just swinging up at these offensive tackles because he's always underneath them. He's always winning the leverage battle because you can't get under a guy who's 5'10". But I don't know what he's going to be at the next level. It's just fun to watch. I just want to see how tall he is.
You're just here for the height.
Might not be 6 foot.
height and length Twitter.
Yeah.
Height and length Twitter have two big days this year, and one of them is coming out. Or four big combine days, to be honest.
Last one, Andrew Brown, Virginia defensive lineman, being billed as a Maurice Hurst light. I'd say he's Maurice Hurst light. He's
really light.
Maurice Hurst anorexic. He's not nearly the same level of football player in terms of football skill at the moment, but people are saying he's that sort of explosive athlete. I didn't quite see it. He played out of a frog stance in a 3-4 or as a base 3-down lineman defensive end there a lot of the time. So it's kind of hard to sometimes evaluate what a guy's athleticism looks like when he's playing in that way. But it'd be big if he does put up, freak level athleticism. Obviously, you reevaluate at that point.
Yeah, he's just a player that former 5-star. I think he underachieved a little bit and showed flashes on tape. I do have a name to add to this, and it's Damon Webb, the Ohio State safety. I did a lot of the safety evaluation, and every year I'm always looking for this just pure free safety. I love a good ball hawking free safety. And Webb, he's got an interesting split because straight line speed on the field does not look great at all, but his movement skills are outstanding. It's just lateral agility and how quickly he sees the ball and reacts, and he made some really nice plays from free safety. Not exactly Malik Hooker level, but you're like, all right, he's going from middle of the field to the sideline pretty quickly and making plays on the ball. So Webb might be the best pure free safety in the league, in the draft class, and he also has the skills to maybe cover the slot. We're talking about a free safety / slot corner. I really think that he could play that type of hybrid at the next level due to his quickness. I'm really curious to know what his speed is, because sometimes he just doesn't look fast, and he might look like a 4.6 guy on the field. And not that that's a huge deal at safety, because you can make up for it with your instincts and with your quickness, but he might be the guy that has unbelievable agility drills and an average 40, and because that's just what it looked like on tape. So I really want to see what his numbers look like. And another safety, Ronnie Harrison from Alabama, really long-legged guy that just when you get the shiftier receivers on him, it's tough, but he's improved in that area. And I feel like he's a pretty explosive athlete, not as good laterally, but so I want to see how those tests match up, because I think he has a chance to be the number 2 safety in the class behind Derwin James.
A lot of people will tell you safety is the 40, not the most important drill, because you can make up for it with your
that's why I want to see the combination.
So,
that's why I want to see 40 versus all the lateral agility drills, especially with Webb, because the straight line speed's not a major issue on the field, because I do think he makes up for it. I just want to see if the drills match up what I've seen. That's the big thing, Mike, right? Just we make notes. We make notes about what we think these guys are going to do, and really want to see the combine back it up. And when it does, great. When it doesn't, then we figure out, did we miss something? What's the deal?
That is the beauty of the NFL Combine, and also why it makes us lazy analysts, and I like it.
So that was your take last year. We're very lazy. They're doing the work for us.
All right, let's get into some segments, and we'll kick it off with a Combine-specific segment here. Guess that NFL player based on their Combine numbers.
Okay. I have to guess?
This is going to be like
because you don't have it in the notes.
Prospect. Yeah, I don't have it in the notes.
Smart move.
It is going to be like Guess the Prospect, where we'll go one by one.
Taylor, you want to play? All right,
Taylor's in too.
Taylor's going to play.
All right, so we'll go one by one, and Steve, you just say when you know or say when you think you know. People at home play along. See if you can beat Steve and Taylor.
I'll write down the name.
And he'll write it down. So these are all edge defenders. We got 3 of them here.
3 of them?
Edge defenders. 3. You're gonna guess 3. All right. So here's the first guy. Ran a 4.67 40.
I don't know who it is.
Did 20 bench reps. Had a 10'10" broad jump.
10'10" broad jump. A 4.6.
7.12 3-cone.
I'm gonna guess a name.
And here's the big one. 45.5-inch vertical.
Oh, geez. 45.5-inch vertical.
Guess that edge defender.
That's not what I guess.
I'll give one more hint. I'll give his weight. He was 6'2", 236.
6'2", 236.
Any guesses? Steve, what do you have written down?
That's not Ryan Anderson. No, because he's more.
That is not.
6'2", 236.
This guy played a while ago, or came out a while ago.
Yeah, I need like a year range.
Mid-2000s. He's still playing, but
this is bad podcasting as I'm thinking about a 6'2", 236. Taylor, you got anybody?
Taylor. Boo.
All right, who we got?
Cameron Wake. 45.5-inch vertical is the dead giveaway.
I didn't remember him being that high.
Dude, that's like one of the craziest numbers I've ever seen. 45.5-inch vertical at 236 pounds. And then went undrafted. No one. Boo. All right. Well, hopefully it can only go up from here for you guys. All right, next guy.
Did any of our listeners get that?
Yeah, someone got that. People,
email
our listeners are smarter than you guys. All right, on to next guy. Did 24 bench reps.
24.
31-inch vertical.
Oh, God.
9'2" broad jump. And a 5.13 40-yard dash at 6'3", 274 pounds.
6'3". Do I need a range?
And, I mean, this guy is a quality NFL player and came out in the late 2000s.
It's not Cameron Jordan.
Nope.
Late 2000s, 6'3". Aaron Campman. No.
Nope.
He's a lot older than that.
Taylor, anyone? God, you guys are bad at these.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Those numbers were, come on, 5'1", 340. These are dead giveaways.
I would have said Kevin Dodd. I was ready to pick Kevin Dodd.
It's Michael Bennett. Seahawks defensive line.
I don't know Michael Bennett's combine numbers off the top of my
head.
They
were historically bad.
Are there awards for the worst podcast segment ever? Can we?
Well, I thought you guys would be better at this. I'll just be honest.
Can we apply?
Here we go. Here's one that
if you guys find awards for this, I just feel like we should enter.
Here's one. This guy, I'll give you. This guy was in the PFF college era. So this guy's in the last 4 years.
PFF college era.
Edge defender. 4.56 40-yard dash.
Ooh.
11'6" broad.
Yep.
42-inch vertical. Only did 3 events. At one, so let me get his height and weight. At 6'4", 269. 4.56 inch 40, 11'6" broad, 42-inch vertical.
6'4", 269. That's Joey Bosa.
I'll give you one more hint.
That's where he weighed in. That's what he weighed in at, isn't it?
I'll give you one more hint. Here was his pro day numbers, though. 4.48 shuttle, 7.52 3-cone. Dead giveaway.
7 point what?
5.2 3-cone.
7.5. Is this Shaq Lawson?
Oh, Steve, come on. This one's easy.
How easy could it be?
7.52 3-cone is dreadful.
Trey Flowers.
Nope. It's Bud Dupree.
What?
That's Bud Dupree.
I thought he had a good 3-cone.
No, he was the straight line god who literally couldn't change direction to save his life.
Oh, okay.
4.48 shuttle is terrible. 7.52 3-cone is terrible.
269 feels really high for him.
Yeah, that does feel high. That because he doesn't play like that. But
because Bosa weighed in around that.
Yeah, Bosa
and
did.
Bosa feels like 285.
No, yeah, they feel like very vastly different players. But yeah.
Yeah, good game. Let's cut that from the entire podcast. That was
no, our listeners are going to feel incredibly smart because they just murdered both of you, I'm assuming.
Steve and Taylor said he was playing. You shouldn't even have tried to play.
Yeah, Taylor, boo. I expected better when you wanted to hop in. But all right, on to Mike's Hot Take of the Week. Oh, we're back. All right, this one I've kicked around for a while and been wanting to say. I'm not going to name names here.
You really want to? You've named names to me.
I've named names. Yeah, I named names. I'll personally. If you want names, I'll DM you a name. But certain picks in the NFL draft, if you draft a certain guy, like there are certain picks in the past 5 years that should be fireable offenses as if you're a GM. Like there are certain picks that just let the public know that you have no goddamn clue what you're doing. And you guys have probably listened to this podcast enough to know some of them that I'm driving at. Certain
just
picks.
Indefensible picks.
But they are indefensible and basically show that you don't know what translates to the NFL and that you don't know anything about drafting. Like your draft strategy, like you should be fired as a GM.
Do you have one pick in mind or you have multiple?
There are multiple
picks
that come to the top of my head, but we'll let you guys use your imagination. Again, some more obvious than others, but it's like it doesn't take a 4-year stretch of he didn't do well drafting and the team didn't do well. No, one pick, if you make it, if I was an owner, I'd fire you on the spot because you don't know what you're doing.
I wish you were an owner.
Someday. Just wait.
Pretty hot, Mike.
All right. I mean, I think that one's I think our listeners will agree that it's like I wish I could name names. Can we name names? Can I name a name and then we bleep it out, Taylor? Yeah. Okay. So both those picks, they should have been fired immediately. And I think like they've proven since then with their drafting that they also still don't know. All right.
There we go.
Bleep that out. On to old scouting reports. Here we go. Some good ones this time. We're going to go with the Edge theme that we just set with that fantastic Combine segment. And let's start off with one of our misses. Yannick Ngakoue, 135th on our big board. Here's what we wrote about him.
I think what we wrote was exactly right.
Yeah. Rush, productive against Power 5 teams, 41 total pressures against Power 5 last season. Quick with effective hand swipe, although spends A little too much time dancing out of his pass rush.
Is that you?
I don't think so. Has the burst to quickly close on QBs and backs when left unblocked. Won inside and outside, and shows flashes spin move and speed to power. Yes, this wasn't me, but it might have been you. Biggest concerns, though. Low involvement on run plays for 2 seasons, graded below average every year of his career. Run stop percentage ranked dead last among 3-4 outside linebackers. Often shoulders into blocks and doesn't look to shed. Can be slow getting his hands up when he loses blocks.
Yeah, that part was me.
Yeah, this is you. Poor at taking on pulls and lead blocks. Frequently ends up on the ground. Cut blocks also gave him problems. So just every block in the run game, apparently, he struggled with. Overall, much better when blockers are backing up as opposed to moving forward and engaging him. So basically, we hated his run defense. Said he could do some things in his pass rusher. So I guess from that perspective,
it wasn't a miss so much as when I put the ranking together, overrated his run defense.
Yeah,
because that's come
to fruition. That's
been to the case.
That's what cracked me up last year was when Mike Mayock's he's a pass rusher only at the next level, and Yannick Ngakoue replied to that, and it's he's been one of the worst run defending defensive ends in the NFL. It's just that doesn't really matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, this is part of the stuff we've discussed that I know I've learned quite a bit is just let's not weigh run defense nearly as high, because he was one of our higher graded pass rushers coming out, and that has translated.
Yeah, he was a big issue.
Did translate last year.
Run defense wasn't that good, but also a big reason why their pass defense pretty dope last year.
Year one as a rookie too, he was a guy that had a bunch of sacks that didn't necessarily grade well as a pure pass rusher for us in our system, but he's been a very productive rusher for 2 years now.
All right, here's the next guy. Here's one of our, we'll call it a hit. This was just from last season. I'll read the guy's what he does best and biggest concerns.
And we'll all guess.
And you'll guess again. Hopefully we get this one. Hopefully we're better at this one.
I see his name in the notes now, so I'll do a better job.
Oh, man. Here's what he does best. Wins as a pass rusher in a variety of ways. Picked up pressures on outside moves, inside moves, bull rushes, and spins. Consistent pass rushing threat. Had just one game where last season where he failed to register at least 3 pressures. Finally put together a full season after missing all of 2014 and half of 2015. Uses his hands well as a pass rusher. Ranked 9th nationally with a pass rushing productivity of 15.1. Responsible for 3 of the 14 total pressures charged to Mississippi State right tackle Justin Senior, a draftable prospect this year. Productive when kicking inside to rush the passer, creating 40% of his pressure between the tackles this past year. That didn't actually happen once he got to the NFL, which is interesting. But flashed against the run with 11 of his 13 tackles, resulting in defensive stops. Still has room to grow there, though. Biggest concerns. Still inconsistent against the run, though. Was hit and miss in certain games. Missed a season and a half of playing time over his career. Struggled against pull blocks in the running game. Not a consistent problem, but it was caught losing contain a number of times in 2016. Undisciplined on the whole.
Is that Carl Lawson?
Yeah, that was Carl Lawson.
Cincinnati Bengals? We got it.
Oh, and so, yeah, double-digit sacks as a rookie. He was the 14th player on our big board this past year. We had a first-round grade on him.
We're still trying.
Was behind only Derek Barnett and Myles Garrett in our edge rankings.
So one of our goals next week at the Combine is to figure out why he dropped to the 4th round.
Yeah.
Because he was a 5-star recruit. Mm-hmm. I saw him in some of the high school camps that he was at. He looked like Dwight Freeney with his explosiveness. He's not exactly Dwight Freeney. I'm just saying, as a high school player, I was like, man, this guy and his hands and everything he's got. Injury-riddled career at Auburn. I'm assuming that's the issue. But we need to get to the bottom of why he landed in the 4th round, because he looked like a first-round player other than he wasn't as bad as Ngakoue against the run. He's just not like a playmaker against the run. He's not a disruptor. He's not great at taking on blocks. But he gets after the quarterback, and he showed it as a rookie. So we have to figure out what exactly happened there next week.
Is it arm length? He does have short arms.
He has very short
31.5-inch arms.
We talked about that last year as far as for the run game stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why he's not really stacking and shedding and making plays and all that stuff. But as a rusher, I feel like he made up for it with his quick hands and his get off. So I think he's got enough. He's got enough to win. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, there you go. Carl Lawson.
The Bengals win.
I got that one right.
All right, that's it for us, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this show. We'll be back with more Combine preview next week as the Combine kicks off, and we might get might do some stuff from Indy, too, for you guys next week. So,
do we have to say a couple things before you go, Mike? First off, premium stats are back. Go buy it. PFF Elite. Got to go do it. Secondly, do we have to say bye to Taylor?
We have to say bye to Taylor. I completely forgot. This is his last episode with us.
This is sad. We're going to pour one out
Taylor Wyman
in the podcast nook for Taylor. So
R.I.P.
Consider us pouring out some coffee again. Taylor, clean that up, please. Thanks. Before you go.
Put in something cool for yourself here at the end, Taylor.
Yep.
All right. Have a go, guys.